Do ask questions as I work. I'm quite happy to, but remember I'm deaf. First of all, I'm going to make a very simple bowl with the intention of making it reasonably thin and fluting it at a later stage. Now, I mentioned about the clay being water absorbent. I've developed the technique of throwing with a sponge, which is a tapered end sponge, in my right hand, so that I'm constantly feeding the surface with a minimum amount of water and lubricant. If I don't, it's all too easy, especially when it's thin, to find that the clay dries suddenly, catches on your dry finger, and wrenches itself slightly off center. By having a thin piece of sponge, I can seal the pot. You see, pot it here through the sponge, which I couldn't do if it was a great thick wad of sponge. You see, you can't really feel, you haven't got sensibility left. So you do need something tapered like that, which feeds the water to the clay surface, but allows you to feel through the sponge to the clay and its wall thickness. By the way, something you would be advised to do when you get used to this sort of throwing, you'll notice that I am bending down like this, trying to assess the shape of the pot with my head upside down, which is not the best way. I would suggest you have a mirror here. You have a mirror. If you put up a mirror there, you can be looking into that mirror and you can be looking at the profile you're making without getting backache. This is going to be a fluted bowl, and if you look at the bowl at the moment, there's certain ridges on it, ribbing as we call it. Now, for a fluted bowl, I don't think you want that there, because quite obviously, if you've got ridges all over it, and you're going to put fluting down, you're going to have lines going across due to the ribbing, and lines coming down due to your fluting, and I think in general this produces a sort of contradiction of the effect. I generally rub out that fluting at this stage. And again, if I haven't succeeded in rubbing it out completely at this stage, I turn it on.
When do you do the fluting? When do you do the fluting?
I do the fluting after the turn. Now this is coming off the wheel in a minute. It goes off somewhere to be dried as evenly as possible, and when it's leather hard, before the rim goes white and brittle hard, you have to catch it right. Sometimes I have to put the sponge around the rim to hold it back while the cookie is drying out. Then I put it upside down on the wheel head and turn the surface clay away and really at the same time refine the shape. This, when it's finished, will have a much smaller foot and a greater elegance because it's got a smaller foot. And I've changed the shape just a little bit. And then after that, it's ready for fluting.
Someone said you're left-handed. Is that true?
Sorry.
Are you left-handed?
No.
You're not.
No.
You're right-handed.
Right-handed.
Okay.
Are you left-handed?
No.
Anybody left-handed? You prefer to turn the wheel the other way? Well, then you do all the other things, back to front. What do you do? Can you turn these wheels and go the other way?
Not the brain.
Some you can.
Yeah, sure you can.
It has a reverse position, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, then you work on this side, right? You don't want to try and become right-handed. Now, I left that with the foot that thick in the middle. I want it to have a fairly deep foot. I want the bow to be elegant, small-footed, but lifted up, raised somewhat. To avoid making too obvious ribs on the side, instead of using my fingertips, I think most people when they're bringing clay up, and this applies to stoneware as well as to porcelain, probably using their fingertips. If you use your fingertips, you tend to leave behind, as I'm doing now, a ribbing, a spiral ribbing. Now, since this is going to be, again, another fluted bowl of a slightly different shape, I don't want it, I change the fingertips of the right hand to that. So I'm using the side of my finger. It doesn't leave, ribs. Sometimes it's a bit of a nuisance to turn out those ribs at the turning stage in place of piece hard stage.
explain what makes a very functional spout while you're doing it?
This is the spout.
Can you explain what makes a very functional spout?
Did it? Yeah, yes.
Functional spout? Can you tell us what you do to make it very functional?
Make it horrible. Why does it work well and how do you do it?
The spout.
Yeah. You make it pour well.
Yeah, well,
Doesn't drip.
I have to confess, I don't guarantee all my teapots pour better. Try hard. And I'll tell you.
Oh, it's on now. Thanks. Rob.
Do you ever turn the tips of your spouts? Do you ever turn the tips of the spouts ever? Yeah,
I'll tell you when I'm doing it later.
Yeah.
This is what somebody was asking about.
Yeah. I do that a lot.
I told you I do it with a bigger piece.
Do you think it tires the clay when it's porcelain doing that?
How many?
Yeah, it's like this. Yeah, I think it's tires.
You are.
Do you always use?
This is a nice wheel, good control, but I like one that you really absolute control with the foot pedal.
bladder.
Or are you No, I'm very, very sloppy. David, what's that tool called? Call. What's the name?
Cheese cutters.
Call it a frog wire. A frog wire. You made it? No problem.
Now, this is something that you might not like to watch for a moment. do I lift that off the wheel? Or do I take the bat off the wheel? Okay. I think in this case, I'll take the bat off the wheel. Because it may, I'll probably get it off all right, but probably be better to leave it on that bat and then take that bat now. I've got to take all these pots and put them somewhere to dry quick. I don't know whether the lamp's down the bottom.
You know where it'd be good is the kiln room. We got lamps down there.
Okay. But lamps don't...
Yeah.
Now, this is one of my things. It's splitting. So, those of you who are interested, I have to take a watch of it carefully. This is this tool, which is simply a hacksaw blade, broken off, and ground one way, that is, you know, a bevel that way, not ground on that side, only this side. And you do it simply by putting it on a revolving carburetor wheel. You usually have a coarse and a fine stone on such a wheel, and you just grind it to a sort of 45-degree angle, roughly, okay? And that's it.
You got good karma, that's it. Okay. Hello. We failed. Tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow is the 5th. For my yellow? What? You would have won if you had another ticket. You're cruel, Phil. He is cruel.
Sitting on my knee like this, comfortable position. Then the tool is held part of the arc relative to the pot. It's going on to the pot, isn't it? Because you see, I'm making this, my elbow is stuck in there, rigid, and I'm making an arc. That helps to steady the actual cutting. It's not quite so loose and freehand, it's sort of quite rigid. Right. And that gives the, what can I call it, the tension into the line. If it was too freehand, that line would be rather wobbly. If you want to get it, as I do, rather tight and exact, then that's the way I do it. So, well, you get a situation where you've got a bowl which has got a curve in it, you know, as you make it, and then that similar curve on a different plane, if you understand me, is being described as part of the fluting. So you get a relationship of curves, the curve of the bowl and the curve of the decoration. Also, and this is something that was not premeditated, happened, you get a little extra pattern forming here at the top, rather like a saw edge, which just comes naturally because that is the angle at which the tool is put in, you see. You're describing that each time, and it makes that additional thing. Now, from my point of view, I find that what you're doing is you've got a major decorative effect, which is the main fluting, and a little kind of subsidiary effect, which is like the subsidiary tune in a piece of music, you know, just a little bit on the side. And since these things have a preconceived design, but it is a design that is coming out of the very process, the very tool, they use the tool, the material, the conditions of the material. And in a way, that kind of design making is, from my point of view, more to be trusted than a rather intellectual imagination applied to a process. I wonder if you understand me. It's the sort of thing you discover, you know, as you do it, rather than premeditate. I'm doing 3 or 4 strokes. Now the first stroke is the major one and the deepest one. You're cutting with the vertical edge. The bevel that you ground is on the back of the movement. You see, it cuts better, that vertical. If I turn that tool round and try to do it that way, because it's beveled there, it would ride the clay rather than cut the clay. It's a slow process. just say one stroke and not trying to make that come right up to that edge with those extra strokes. You know, it's entirely a personal preference. You can't say one is right and another one is wrong. Flute them slightly differently. Give an alternative method of fluting. I'm not too concerned that these intervals are exactly the same. And the last thing to do is seal. That's a seal made out of porcelain clay, carved in reverse, and biscuit fired to about cone 5,000 degrees. And that is dry, and that's the end of it, except that when it's biscuit fired, I will glaze it probably with a celadon glaze. I have several celadon glazes, various, and I will use one of them to glaze upwards. So that's just a little bit on the fluting approach.